Good morning and welcome to Monday Musings in the Midwest. I'm Barrett Collins, your host, a retired attorney, an educator, a leadership expert, and parent, grandparent, and great-grandparent. Today we've got a quick show for you. One of the comments I had is people like it when I keep it around 15 minutes, so although I'm a talker, I'll try to keep it down. You know, there is an old saying that if you give an attorney a microphone, you have to take what you can get. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, if you're a retired attorney, we are not creating an attorney-client relationship with this video, and it's for education and information only, not for legal advice. So what do we have in store for you today? Well, I want to talk about the Lindsay Clancy trial that's going on now in Massachusetts. I want to talk about appeals, do a little bit of leadership, and a final note to parents as we creep into that school year. It's coming up rapidly. Let's dive into today's topics. There is a trial going on in Massachusetts. It's Lindsay Clancy. She was a young mother with 3 children. The youngest was 8. The oldest, I believe, was 5. I think it was 5, 3, and 8 months. Sorry, 8 months, not 8, 8 months. And she was suffering from severe postpartum depression. Now, I was blessed. I didn't suffer from that particular malady, but I know people that have. So it's not something to make light of. It can be a horrible thing. Anyway, she was actually too a labor and delivery nurse. She was a nurse, horribly suffering from postpartum depression. And from my understanding, and again, I'm just going from news reports, they had recently changed her medication and things had gotten worse. On this particular day, her husband left to go get some takeout food for dinner and to refill medications. And when he got home, all 3 children were dead. And Lindsay had slit her wrists, I believe maybe her throat, and jumped out a 2nd floor window. Lindsay survived. She is paralyzed from the waist down, so she's in a wheelchair. This is obviously a person who is suffering. Killed her children with, I believe it was exercise bands of all things, and desperately tried to kill herself. The state is prosecuting her for murder, and there's been a big furor about the prosecution. I mean, even the husband, now ex-husband, they divorced after all of this happened. The ex-husband actually is testifying for the defense in this trial. He claims he's forgiven her, even though they're divorced and he's moved on. And I have to tell you, I'm of 2 minds in this. I mean, I think it was very apparent that she was having massive issues, just massive issues. And I think people are very upset that the prosecution's going forward. I understand the prosecution going forward because you really need to have that safeguard in society that people just aren't pretending to be that crazy in order to do horrible things. I think in this instance, there was no pretense at all. Don't take me wrong. But it is an interesting area of the law. You know, prosecutors have discretion. They don't have to go forward with prosecutions, but they're proceeding with this one. So basically what she's going to claim is insanity. And this is a very hard field, but let me tell you just a little nugget about it. You can be mentally ill. You can be insane. But the legal test is not mental illness. The legal test is, at the time of the incident, did you know what you did was wrong? That's the legal test. And I gotta tell you, that's really hard to get over. There are not lots and lots of people running around who have been let off because of they're not guilty by reason of insanity. Will it happen this time? I don't know. The difficult thing in this kind of defense is you have to admit she did it. Okay, so she admits she did it, and then you have to say, but we're going to prove that at the time she did it, she was so incapacitated, she was so mentally ill, that she didn't know what she was doing was wrong. It's going to be an interesting case to watch, and I'll try to do an update in the future. But there is a piece of me, there is a heart of me that, you know, if you've even got the husband saying she was so out of it, the medicine change had messed her up so much, I forgive her. I kind of wonder, couldn't there be an agreement just to commit her? I don't know. It'll be an interesting case to watch. Remember that there are two kind of fascinating cases on insanity, not guilty by reason of insanity. The other one, remember Nick Reiner killed his parents, the famed director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, last December. And while that one hasn't gone to court, it is believed that his defense may be not guilty by reason of insanity too. So we've got a couple of them. But the key is not that they're crazy, not that they have a mental illness, not that they have mental defects, not that they're psychotic. It's at the time they did it, could they understand what they did was wrong? In this case, she kills the kids, cuts her hand, cuts her throat, cuts her wrists, jumps out the window. That is some indicia she knew what she did was wrong. She may have made other statements that indicate that too. I don't know. But an interesting case. The other case I want to talk about, and I want to talk about appeals, is Carmelo Anthony, the young man down in Texas who last year stabbed another young man at a track meet. I've talked about it a couple of times. He was convicted, so I can call him, murder. He was convicted, and he is now serving time. He has appealed his conviction, and he's got a couple of hearing dates coming up. One to recuse the judge, the original judge, and two for a new trial. Those are typical post-hearing motions. They're not really trials or anything. They might be interesting to watch. They're in mid-August. But I have so many people saying he's guilty. He's definitely guilty. Kind of like in the Murdaugh case in South Carolina, people say Alec Murdaugh is obviously guilty. Well, folks, appeals are a wonderful part of our democracy. I support them. We let criminals appeal their trial because we want to make sure trials are fair. In the Alex Murdaugh case, there was a defect. He's getting a new trial. Carmelo Anthony is doing exactly what he should be doing. Was the trial fair? Now, I've read the appeal. I'm kind of biased. I think the young man acted imprudently. He stabbed another young man at a track meet, which is such an innocent kind of setting that you hate to see it. But I applaud his ability to write an appeal, not his ability, his attorney's ability to write that appeal. And we should all support that because it ensures that we are convicting those who deserve to be convicted. And if something's wrong with that trial, the one thing you and I both should want is that they have an opportunity to have a new trial, hopefully a more fair trial. Because think of it this way, but by the grace of God go you. What if at some point in your life something you had done had killed somebody? Wouldn't you want the opportunity to have somebody check and make sure your trial was fair too? So I know it's a lot of money. I know it takes time. But in a democracy, isn't that what we should be doing, is ensuring that everything's correct and people get the right opportunity to do what they can? So appeals are good. If you have any more questions about appeals, fantastic. But I'll leave that topic for now. They're a good thing. Alec Murdaugh showed us that that was a improper trial, even though everybody knows Alec Murdaugh. That's what somebody said. I know Alec Murdaugh is guilty. We may know it, but he still has the right to a fair trial. Carmelo Anthony was convicted, but if there's something wrong in that trial, let's do it again and do it right. So appeals are a good thing. Let's applaud them for being what we need in a democracy to make sure that people are treated the way they should be by our laws. I got a leadership moment for you because I saw this the other day, and I walked into an establishment and this employee was complaining to the manager, well, you do this. You know, something about leaving a few minutes early. I've seen you close the store 10 minutes early to leave. And the manager said to the employee, but I'm the manager, I can. I want you to think about this. Whether you're a teacher leading classes, or you're a principal leading teachers, or you're a manager leading employees, you have to not only lead by word, but by example. So if your employees see you strolling in 30 minutes late, if your employees see you closing the store up early when you want to get out of there, they're going to do the same thing you do. If you're a teacher in the classroom and you walk out the door a minute before the bell rings, or you're standing at the door waiting for the bell to ring, like one of my math teachers in high school did, he would stand by the door and wait for the bell to ring and run out the door because he was heavily addicted to nicotine and had to go have a cigarette. If you are doing those things, you are not modeling correct behavior. You need to at all times think about modeling the best behavior for your employees and those you lead. And that's all I'm going to say. This was just an exchange I saw in a convenience store of all things. And it just kind of led me to think, you know what? People need to know, lead by example. And when you don't lead by example, you can't expect those you lead to do what you expect them to do. You have to lead by deed, not just to words, okay? Final thing. We are to the end of July, if you can believe it. July just flew by. All the months are flying by. It's crazy. We're in the dog days of summer, and I think the reason they call them that is not even the dogs want to go outside. The heat indexes are up in the hundreds, 110, 115. I saw a heat index of 118 the other day. It was too hot even to go to the swimming pool, quite frankly. But those kiddos should be getting ready to go back to school. Now's the time to start getting them up. If you have to be at school at 8, and it takes them an hour to be ready, you need to start getting them up at 7:30, and then next week get them up at 7 o'clock. I have a grandson who starts, I'm so proud of him, starts kindergarten, not this Friday, but the next Friday, the 7th of July, if you can, or 7th of August. He starts back to school. Exciting day for him. Kindergarten, that's a big deal. But anyway, start getting those kiddos up, start taking those phones away from them. It's time to do that. It will really help them when school starts again. And let me give you another tip. Send your child's teacher a couple of boxes of Kleenex. Not because they're crying, but because before long it will be flu season and they're going to need them. Teachers spend a lot of money out of their pocket. Anything you could buy for them, just offer, would be fantastic. Well, that's it for the Monday Musings today. I've tried to keep it short. Let me know what you think of the new format, the shorter format. I'll try to keep it a little pithier, a little straight, a little shorter. And if you have questions, drop them my way. With that, I'm Barrett Collins, ending this week's session of Monday Musings in the Midwest. Until next week, goodbye.